Deadpool and Wolverine. Man, I was anticipating this one. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of went in with the perfect mindset. I went into this movie geeked out my sneaks, bro. I wanted to see Deadpool get on Wolverine's last nerve and him just snap. Oh dang, I just came out of freaking hyperspeed. And they delivered on that, I will say. The biggest question that I think a lot of people have is this more than just dumb fun? Is this actually a worthwhile story? Some some good stakes and stuff like that. And I will say, if you're looking for that type of stuff, you're probably not gonna get it in this movie. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but this was some good slop. And I mean that in the best way possible. There's nothing wrong with good slop. The world runs on good slop. Basic cable. Like, you get these procedural Is this a water planet again, brother? What am I supposed to do with this? But anyways, the world runs on good slop. Basic cable. Those fucking seasons run 11 seasons. Fast food, bro. The world runs on good slop. So there's nothing wrong with that. When I say that, I don't mean it in, I don't mean it in the worst way. You could definitely do worse things. But this was some good fast food. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Goddamn, I'm out of hyper speed fuel stuff. I will say that this movie is lacking a bit in the story department. I'll get into it. For no spoilers. And so, I get to spoilers and then get into the stuff that I actually, my problems and what I liked. There's some good stuff in this movie. There's some good stuff, but there's just also a lot of not very good things. But I will say, like I said, I was thoroughly entertained all the way through. I didn't, I wasn't bored. And I guess that's all you can ask for, really, or baseline, all you could ask for. But for a quick synopsis, it's Deadpool finds Wolverine and they go on a multiversal adventure. I mean, there's really not much. There's obviously stuff that goes more into it, but it's really not much more than that. I would say, though, the action is the standout in this movie. I honestly think that's worth the price of admission alone. If you like a good action movie, go out and see this for sure. Yeah, the action was definitely the standout, and I love that this would not have hit as hard if this wasn't rated R. There's some very good gore, which I'll get into in a second, or not in a second, but when we get to spoilers, because that's when I could really speak my piece on like the action and set pieces. But one thing I really like, though, still keeping them with the action, is I love how they kind of upped Logan's strength, superhuman strength, and he's like over here throwing people through walls, punching people through walls. I thought it was really fun, and I was like, you don't really see a whole lot of that in the other movies. I could just be yapping about that, but like, he's not like, I just feel like they don't really showcase his strength all too well in the previous Fox X-Men movies, and I really think they did a good job here. And I think this movie probably has one of my favorite fight scenes or sequences in a Marvel movie. It's definitely up there, because I think it's just really it has the emotional stakes that I look for, being a little older and not just being a kid watching this stuff purely for, like, strictly for the like I said, the caveman little kid part of my brain. It has the emotional stakes going into it, and then it's super creative. I can't wait to get to it in spoilers, but it's just chef's kiss. And like I said, I went into this movie just wanting to see Deadpool and Wolverine interact, and they did not disappoint with that. Their interactions, gold. Loved it so much. Just Deadpool getting on Wolverine's nerves, and then just I can't wait to get into it in spoilers, but it's just so good, and I'm glad I watched this movie for that alone. And that's where I was coming from. I'll get to my problems in a bit, but yeah, that they delivered on that in that department. And I really like with the action, the suits get battle damaged over time, and you could really feel the journey within the suits, and I just love that so much. Seeing this movie, though, it kind of makes me wish we got a lower stakes. What's with all these freaking water planets, bro? Do I look like a fucking aquatic animal? Jesus. I really wish, seeing this movie, I really wish we got a lower stakes Deadpool and Wolverine movie, because honestly, I feel like the multiversal stuff really are the points that hold this. What the hell? Or really are the points that hold this movie back. And this movie would have been so freaking great if it was just some low stakes, just Deadpool and Wolverine. And honestly, but it's just, you can't do that. It's just too, the timeline's too fucked up. I mean, in a just world, we would just get a Deadpool and Wolverine movie just slapped in, you know, just whatever. Like, we're not worried about the timeline and whatnot. Just a fun Deadpool and Wolverine movie without having to tie it in with this multiversal stuff and stuff of that nature. And, you know, with Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't love a lot of the execution in this movie, but I really, really like their arcs and how they parallel. And I'll get to more in that when we get to spoilers and stuff. But I think they did a good job at having their arcs really intertwined and uplift each other. I really like that a lot about this movie. But the first 30 minutes of this movie, bro, I'm not gonna lie, this might be, you know, maybe I need a little bit more time for this to sit in the brain, but it's probably it's definitely up there. The first like 30 minutes is up there with the first 30 minutes of Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, which I think are really, really strong openings for movies. But the first 30 minutes of this movie is freaking gold, bro. No lie to you. And like the first 30 minutes, and like I said, it felt like the most sincere of this movie. And I felt like that's when it was at its best. And there's a great montage within the first 30 minutes. Just the intro alone was great. I can't wait to get to it in spoilers, but just the intro alone was something to, it's, again, there's I didn't love this movie, but there's some stuff that are really worth the admission and really worth seeing in theaters for. And, you know, it's a Deadpool movie, so it's gonna have comedy. And, you know, obvious comedy subjective, and all the comedy didn't land in this, but I feel like there was some really decent, funny moments. And then also there was some really good fourth wall breaks that I really enjoyed a lot. But, you know, if you're not a fan of Deadpool humor, it's more of Deadpool humor, which, like I said, mileage may vary on that. So take that with a grain of, take that however you want. But I thought the humor for the most part was all right. It wasn't like, you know, there's some cringy moments, but it's not terrible overall. I enjoyed it. But I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I went into this movie to see Deadpool and Wolverine interact, and if there was gonna be stronger emotional elements, I definitely was looking forward to that, but it wasn't required for me to like this movie, which is like kind of bad to say because it sounds like a cop-out, like it was just we should want more from superhero movies and whatnot. But there was some emotional stuff in this that I really think landed, but in the previous two Deadpool movies I think were stronger in the most emotional department, and I don't think a lot of stuff really, like I said, it landed. But I'll get more into it. But it just yeah, they could have done a lot better job. And like I said, I went into this with pretty low expectations, but I was still kind of a bit disappointed, and we'll get more into that as we go along and whatnot. But I just thought the main villain was pretty weak, and it's Cassandra Nova, Charles Xavier's sister. It just felt like the people around her should have been the main villains, in my opinion. I felt like she was pretty interchangeable for villain wise, and like her power set and stuff was cool, but the people around her I felt like would have been a lot more interesting to be main villains of this narrative, honestly. But and just like her overall, the stuff with the TVA I think was pretty well handled, in my opinion, because that's kind of spoilery. We'll get to that in spoilers, but just the overall plot was kind of weak, and I feel like it just limped along until it got to the more exciting spots and more to the emotional bits. It was just the structure of it was just not all the way there, but there were some very fun ideas in it. But the execution, I think that's the moral of this review, or like the main topic of this review, or the main point of this review, is that the overall execution just wasn't there, but there's some good ideas in it. And it's like when we did hit the emotional parts, it was kind of, there was a lot of telling and not showing. This movie could have benefited so greatly if it just showed a little bit more of that emotional side. Like there, it was just so close, it was so close, but it just didn't land all the way for me. And I feel like this movie, it's missing a key emotional element that's from that is in the previous Deadpool movies, and this one just doesn't have, or just it's there a little bit, but it should be, oh goddamn boy, it should be a lot more prominent in my opinion. And like I said, I'll get to that. I'll get to more of that in spoilers. And I will say most of the emotion kind of is held up by the performances, and that's kind of like duh, but like if it wasn't these characters, would any of this hit? I don't think so. And I feel like this movie is getting a pass for it being these characters, and yeah, I just don't necessarily agree with that. And I think most of the emotional bits are held up by, and this is okay, walk with me on this point, but overall knowledge of the characters. And it's like, duh, it's taking cues from the previous movies that it set up. Yeah, but I'm talking about in general though. I think a lot of the Logan stuff hit for me because I just genuinely like Logan as a character. He's one of my favorite heroes in general. And I just think this movie just doesn't do a good job at delivering the emotional stakes by itself. And it really relies on you to care about these characters from different projects. And I know that's like Marvel's whole thing, but I feel like there wasn't enough in more specifically Logan's department. There wasn't enough to set up his emotional journey all the way. And it's kind of the same with Deadpool, but I would say less so in his case. And like I said, the emotional stuff is, I feel like, kind of skipped over to get, not even skipped over, but it's kind of rushed through a little bit to get to the multiversal stuff and play with the multiversal characters. Even when it does do that with the multiversal characters that are in this movie, they also don't feel like that strong. Like, they're pretty hollow in my opinion. I feel like there was only one used really well, and it's not the one that you think it is if you've seen this movie. And the multiversal stuff is kind of the worst part of this movie, because when it gets there, not only are they hollow, but it's also the worst like looking part of this movie. This movie doesn't look very good in general. There's like some key select scenes that are like, oh, okay, that was pretty good looking, but overall, bro, I think this movie looks pretty ass. But there were, like I said, some emotional stuff that I do think really landed. Or there's one specific emotional part that I really think landed, and it's honestly my favorite part of the movie, not gonna lie to you. And I'll get to more in what that is in spoilers, but it just needed more. So this emotional stuff in this just needed more time to be fleshed out and to really connect with that, you know? I just don't think this movie did a good job of that. Like, back to like the looks and stuff, the CGI in this is pretty, on the whole, I think it looks all right, but there's some stuff to be desired in it, for sure. I don't think it just, honestly, like, CGI doesn't bother me a whole lot if the story is good, but, you know, like I've been saying, the story just wasn't all the way there for me in this case. And then also, there's no reason why a $200 million movie should look like this. There's just no reason. There's just no reason. We got Godzilla -1, and that has a fucking small fraction of this budget, and it blows the CGI in this movie out of the water in most cases. And that just should not be the case. And, you know, it's not the CGI artist's fault, the VFX artist's fault, but it's just because who wants to make something that looks shitty? It's probably, you know, constant changes and revisions and stuff like that, and last minute things, and there's just no excuse, honestly. It should look a lot better than it does. But before we jump into the rating, I want to get into the box office. So this movie had a budget of $200 million, and the rule of thumb that I often hear, don't know if this is totally correct, they say double the budget to account for marketing, or like 2.5 it. So hold on, let's do some quick math. I mean, it would be 400 million, but I don't know what 2.5 is. I probably should, but 500 million. I probably should have knew that. 500 million. So it needs realistically like half a billion dollars to break even and get into the green, or just to break even. I think this movie's gonna hit it because this movie had a $200 million. It's projected to have a 200. I'm recording this Saturday. It's projected to have a $200 million opening weekend, which is the budget in itself. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see what the second weekend drop off is going to be, because I've had some, bro, I don't know what it is lately, but people been saying, this was like the same case with my Long Legs review. People were saying, oh my God, this is the scariest movie ever. But people were saying this is a 10 out of 10 best movie of the year. And honestly, okay, let me not yuck people's yum. I can get why they maybe feel this way, but it's just I didn't feel that way at all. But it's gonna be very interesting to see what the second weekend drop off is gonna be. I predict like this is good, like a 45% drop off. I think an average is what, like 50, 60, or 60 might be high, but like 50, 55, don't quote me on that. I just find this stuff interesting, and I don't have all the answers on that. But yeah, let's just get into the rating. This movie almost landed for me. Like, the emotional stuff almost landed for me. It just needed a little bit a nudge in the right direction. It just needed to be a bit more fleshed out, and I would have loved this movie if this movie did all that correctly. But it just, I'll get to more in spoilers, but it just did not fully get there for me. The multiversal stuff oh my gosh, it just takes away for so much of this movie. Just once you get past the member berries haze and you like start to see this movie for what it's doing, it just is not that great in my opinion. It's gonna be very interesting to see what this movie looks like after the fact at home on DVD, and it's kind of, I feel like it's gonna have the No Way Home problem, because once you look at the multiversal stuff at home without all the crowds cheering and stuff, it's very apparent for that type of stuff. And this movie does make like fun of it. It makes fun of like the multiversal stuff saga just not being that good, but it also makes fun of the cameos and you know, makes light of them. But it just overall, just no matter how many times Deadpool points it out, or like points out a bad exposition dump, or just cameos out the woo-wah, it just doesn't make it good. I feel like there is ways to do it, the multiversal stuff, in a for lack of a better term, intelligent way that is like actually beneficial to feels integral to the story. But this movie just doesn't do it. And I think a good example of a movie really doing the multiversal stuff well while also keeping the main through line of like emotional stakes with the main character, and it just still being really believable, is the Spider-Verse movies. They do a really good job with the multiversal stuff. I would say more so the first one for me. I think the action is like ultimately the saving grace for me, and just the thing that really hammers this home and stops this movie from being utter below mid. I would say if you're a fan of this stuff, don't miss it. Don't miss this movie. Do not miss it. I feel like it delivers in that field. But if you're not a fan of this, you're not missing anything crazy. I would say my rating is honestly a 6.5, with room to either drop to a 6 after, you know, that member berry haze comes off, or it has room to grow to like a 7.5 if I really enjoy it again on a rewatch, you know. But I want to see this movie. I'm gonna let it sit. I'm not gonna. There's some movies that, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, bro, I saw that movie like 2-3 times in theaters. There's some movies that I just want to instantly run back and see. But I'm gonna let this movie sit in the brain, let it marinate and stuff, and just I don't wanna play this movie out, you know. And I think this, how does this movie stack up to the other Deadpool movies? I think my rating or my ranking for the other Deadpool movies, this is, I think it goes Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, Deadpool 3. That simple, honestly. I think the emotional stuff in Deadpool 1 is the strongest, but it has the weakest action. The second one has a step up in action, but I feel like there's really strong emotional stuff, but I feel like it's just not as strong in the first movie. And then the third one has the best action, but the weakest emotional stuff, you know? I hope that makes sense. And then how does this stack up to the multiverse movies that have done, this cameo fest or whatever? So No Way Home, wouldn't Quantumania count? I wouldn't really count that, but No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness. My ranking on those is, I think, No Way Home, Deadpool 3, and Doctor Strange 2. Because I think Doctor Strange 2, I think, is like the most well made out of the three, but it's not a fucking sequel to Doctor Strange 1 at all. And I feel like it's more of a sequel to the multiverse saga as a whole, which is really hindering that movie. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Before we get into spoilers, the future of this, without spoiling, this movie puts this stuff in a very dangerous place. Because after this movie, not gonna lie, I want to see more Hugh Jackman Wolverine. But the guy's like 60, so I don't think he should be the main Wolverine moving forward, and I don't think he's going to be. But if the more you show this Wolverine, the more you get it back into the public eye, the more people are gonna less and less want to see a new Wolverine, which I want to see. But it just kind of hurts it, People, I feel like, are gonna gravitate to wanting to see this Wolverine moving forward, and I don't think this is the last time we see him. But as in, when the X-Men get introduced, But I see this. I see this Wolverine sticking around, but we'll see if that's in a good way. But yeah, let's get into some spoilers though. Basically, just expand upon what I found good and then my problems with it. But the cameos, I'm surprised they kept a lot of this stuff under wraps, honestly, because we get the return of quite a few Fox characters and a new one that was I really liked a lot. So we get the return of Elektra from the early 2000s movie, which honestly I haven't seen. I haven't seen that or the Daredevil one, and I want to check them out. I've seen like bits and pieces growing up, like on cable, but I haven't just sat and watched all those movies all the way through. And then we get Wesley Snipes coming back as fucking Blade. I did not see that coming because there was like not even rumors. I think he had a very, very bad relationship with Ryan Reynolds on the set of Blade. Is it 2 or Trinity? Whatever one Ryan Reynolds in. I think he was like kept calling Ryan Reynolds, only referring to him as that cracker or some shit like that. I don't know, but there was some bad blood, but I guess they hashed it out. But I really, really liked Blade's look in this. Oh my gosh, he looks so fucking fire. That just like futuristic just look on him. Yeah, I want to see the trench coats, but that was like straight out of the comics. I love comics. I love the gray streak in his hair and stuff. That was super fun. And fucking Channing Tatum as Gambit. That was actually kind of crazy because that's been like in the talkings for literally since X-Men Origins Wolverine, for literally since like 2008, bro, 2009. So that's been in the zeitgeist or in the mind wanting to be a thing for a while, and it was really interesting. I love his costume on Gambit a lot. I feel like it's literally straight out of the comics, and I really feel like it translated well. I want to see it on someone that is not Channing Tatum, because I feel like he's not the right build for Gambit, low key. I feel like he's a little bit too bulky in my opinion. But he still looked really cool in the costume. And then X-23, she came back. That was like shown in the trailers. It was all the cameos, and this was done purposefully. They walk out of like their little hidey hole and come into the spotlight with like this dramatic slow-mo music and stuff like that. And it's very, very intentional. But when they come on, and I'll get to like, their action sequence, but when they come on, I feel like the movie kind of dips in quality in a way. But I really like I really like their interactions with with Deadpool and Wolverine. I think it's really, really funny. And then just their concern for Johnny Storm. But actually, let's get to Johnny Storm. I really, 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 that was my favorite cameo, and I think that did the most well in my opinion, or handled the best, because I felt like he was there for a reason, and not just, he was there obviously for, dang brother, can he get his own space? He was obviously there for, look at this, but I feel like he was used very well in my opinion. Just like his whole introduction, and it was like, I know it was very if you know who this is, very Blu-ray Angel, but I really liked him a lot. I like how he was like baited to be Captain America, which I thought he was gonna be. He had like the blue and red on a little, or like some accents of blue and red on his costume, so I thought he was gonna be Captain America. But when he just said flame on, I'm not gonna lie, that kind of got me with the member berries. But I still think that I don't like. I wish he got a little bit more play on the action side of things. I kind of feel like they let him off with a wet fart, which I feel like I like the Fantastic Four movies. Like, kill me. I don't really care. I think they're really fun. But yeah, I get why it's like, played it more as a joke and not really taking that serious. But I like them a lot, honestly. But yeah, just like when the cameos and stuff come up, I just feel like that's kind of the weakest part of the movie. I can tell why these didn't leak, because when they have the action sequence in the enemy base, it just does not look good, bro. From just the set, I feel like is not all that great, and I just feel like the visuals aren't all that great. It's very lacking in the visuals department, to be honest. And maybe different strokes for different folks, but it didn't hit all the way for me. I feel like all of them are pretty hollow characters, and I feel like if this wasn't focused on that and did more of emotional stuff, it could have used this time to build more emotional things with Wolverine and stuff and whatnot. But it's just I just feel like it wasn't all the way there for me. Skipping ahead to the ending, and Wolverine and Deadpool survive. It was kind of very hard to feel like they were ever in danger. The only time I felt like they were in danger was after Cassandra rips all of Johnny Storm's skin off his body, and he just flaps down like a wet sack of meat and bones. Yeah, but I really like how they stopped Cassandra and used their power of friendship in a way to not explode and get atomized. I like that a lot, but the journey there was just a bit rough. Just like it's honestly simple stuff. Like when Wade locks him out of the room to make that sacrifice, and Wolverine's just punching it and ramming it. Like, buddy, you have adamantium claws. Why don't you fucking claw the door down? Like, what are we doing here? And it was just, in a better movie, I wouldn't find that, a standout thing to say, but there's multiple stuff like that with Cassandra. Like, Deadpool at one point says, is Magneto here so they could use his helmet to stop Cassandra and not, you be immune to her powers in a way, but she has like telekinesis, so it's like I don't think that would be. But anyways, she melted Magneto's helmet down so it wouldn't be able to be used against her, but they end up using Juggernaut's helmet against her. Why wouldn't she just do that, the same thing with Juggernaut? His power is not in his helmet. Yeah, it stops psychic attacks, but it's not needed, and especially if that's her lackey. And he's not like a needed member. Like, he literally doesn't really do anything, so it's not like he's like important to the squad or anything. And that's what I feel like the villain stuff falls weak, because it's like you introduce Cassandra and then she can be swapped out for really any baddie. It didn't have to be her. It would have been much more interesting if like Azazel, Juggernaut, Lady Deathstrike, the other Fox, villain character, Sabretooth, were the main antagonists in a way. I feel like you could still have the stuff with the TV and whatnot, but it should have been they should have been the forefronts, because we know them, and this was, I feel like, a time to flesh them out a bit more. Like, we don't get a whole lot of Lady Deathstrike in X2. We don't get a whole lot of Azazel's motivations and spend a whole bunch of time with him either. And then I just feel like it definitely could have been used. They could have been used a lot better, and I feel like it would have hit a lot harder if it was them. But yeah, let's back it up a bit. Let's go to the first 30 minutes, bro. The first 30 minutes of this movie is so freaking good. I think it's the most sincere. It's the most, you're spending time with Deadpool in his daily life. He's a car salesman. Wait, that's a little bit ahead. It starts off, I really love the intro for this movie, because it starts off with literally Deadpool disrespecting Logan's legacy, which a lot of people were scared to for this movie that this movie was gonna do. And it's like, oh, you know, Hugh Jackman's amazing send off in Logan, and then what it means for him to come back, and you know, should he not? And this movie just plays with that really well. He's like digging up his body, and he's dead. The Wolverine from that version is dead. They show him clearly decomposed, and it just goes into because Deadpool has the little cable time watch thing from Deadpool 2 still with him, and he's just going around trying to find. Wait, why is he trying to find Wolverine? Oh, it's because, this is because I'm like, wait, he doesn't know, but like this is a little bit ahead. They do the rewind thing like in Deadpool 1. I don't know if they do that in Deadpool 2, but like, you know, they rewind it. And I think that was really fun. And he's using he's using Logan's body as weapons. And I feel like that was super, super fun. Like he's using like his leg bones as nunchucks, using his jaw bones as throwing stars. And at one point, he literally gets Wolverine's claws to work on. He straps them. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And then it cuts off. And you know, I was like, whoa, they have to show him using that. They can't cut away and not show that. But they do come back and they show him get busy with those. And that was a really fun sequence. He's like stabbing himself. He gets stuck inside people. He's like, Wolverining's kind of hard. And I feel like that was just super, super fun. And then he goes to the 616 to meet Happy and like try to join the Avengers. And Happy doesn't want to take him or whatever. So I feel like that was super fun. And, you know, to incorporate it in the 616 universe. And even and like that's what I mean when you could do multiversal stuff and still feel sincere. And I think this does this really well. Like he's traveling through time and whatnot, but he's still, you know, he's using Wolverine's corpse as a what am I trying to say, as quote unquote disrespecting it. And it still works. It's still he goes back and you see his life, and I think it just all hits still in a big way. And it just has the really fun montage of him trying to find a Wolverine. What Wolverines do we get? We get a comic accurate, height accurate Wolverine. He's like 5'3". It's so funny. Just Hugh Jackman miniaturized. That's hilarious. And I've seen like edits of that, and it just always looks goofy. And I really like how they showed it in this. It was really fun. What else Wolverines do we get? Oh, we get like a apocalyptic, big hair, crazy Wolverine. It's probably some comic shit. I want to watch a video to see like all the comic book references and whatnot. Oh, and that crazy haired Wolverine, he has a cool suit. It's like this black and like red. It's purely black, but it has like some red stripes on it, like some accents. I really like that suit a lot. Who else do we get? We get Patch. That was cool seeing, you know, it wasn't too crazy or really anything. We got fucking Henry Cavill as Wolverine. Was that like something that was talked about before? I haven't really seen anything on that, but I think that was really fun. And he punches Deadpool like through a wall, and that's what I mean. I really like how, damn, spit all on my mic. That's crazy. Pause. I really like, you know, Wolverine's strength in this. I feel like they really up his superhuman factor, and I found that super, super enjoyable. We get like an old man Logan type. I don't know if it's specifically old man Logan, but he's just chilling on he's just chilling in his area, and he pulls out a shotgun and shoots Deadpool. I don't know if it's specifically old man Logan, but that was cool. Oh, there's before I get to the biggest one, there's like this crucified Wolverine on this yellow X, and he was like an older version, and that's definitely some comic shit. So I wonder what comic that's from. And then we get fucking Wolverine in the brown suit about to fight the fucking Hulk, bro. Why would you show me if I can't have it? Like, oh my gosh, bro. We were that close to seeing Wolverine v Hulk. If they don't do that at all within the Marvel lifespan, bro, they failed, bro. And it was Mark Ruffalo Hulk too. And oh my gosh, bro, I just wanted to see a glimpse of that fight. Just even a running up freeze framer cuts away right when they're about to clash. I just needed something, bro. Something, a few slashes, a Loki moment where, I just needed something, bro. I needed something because the animated, that matchup is just crazy. But like the animated Hulk versus movies, oh my gosh, bro. I needed something, bro. Please, I need it, bro. I need it, Kevin. I know you hear me, bro. I need it. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I really like the intro. It was really fun, and I felt like it was the best part of this movie, in my opinion, or the best overall part. There's this specific, the van scene, which I'll be getting to because I'm about to talk about the action sequences. But the van scene, that was probably well, I'll get to it. But I talked about the intro fight, but the Void fight. Yes, the Void loses a bit of sauce. It could be a little bit more saucy. It loses, the atmosphere that it sets in Loki is just so good. And I know it's obviously different stuff. But it looks super washed out in this movie. And, those Loki visuals of the Void definitely would have pushed it a long way. I'm not sure why they didn't go with that. But when they square up in the Void for the first time, it's just so surreal, bro. I don't know how else to put it. Bro. It just brought back so much nostalgia, bro. Not even nostalgia, bro, because it's like we haven't seen this, bro. We did the last time Deadpool and Wolverine fought in live action was goddamn Deadpool and X-Men Origins Wolverine, bro. That abysmal dog shit of a Deadpool. And so it's just and it's like Deadpool, he knows. He's like, get your special socks, nerd, because it's about to go down type shit. Like, oh my gosh, bro. They go crazy. Like, when Wolverine assumes his attack position, pops out the claws super slow-like, and then the music kicks up, bro. Man, that is some gas. That fight is worth the admission alone, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. If you love action, go watch this movie. Like at one point, Deadpool fills Wolverine's guts with some lead, bro, some hot lead. And then Wolverine gets up. You just see the bullets ding, 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 fall on the ground. And then he spits one out his mouth with gun smoke coming out, bro. How can you not think that's cash money? I don't know, man. I don't know. And I love how feral Logan is in this. He's when he goes to rush Deadpool, he uses his claws as a launch point, as a launch position to really dig in deep and then fucking rush him, and just crawling on the ground just looks so animalistic. I love it so much. And it was so cool, like, seeing Logan fight with Deadpool's swords in his body. That just felt like straight out of like a comic book shit. And it reminded me of what's it called, Wolverine, when he's filled with a bunch of arrows and stuff in that sequence. But yeah, that was super fun. And the next little scrape up, not necessarily even a fight really, is Sabretooth v Wolverine. Super quick. He fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi's him and just kills Darth Maul in one fell swoop, which was, that was fine. I like how Deadpool sets it up like it's gonna be this. He's like, oh, people have been waiting for this for a while, and I wish what if we saw fucking Sabretooth in his comic getup versus in that quick little bout with Wolverine. That would have been fun, and that's what I mean though. They should have been the main antagonist, bro. They should have been in the Cassandra Nova role. And maybe they didn't. They just needed someone with high power level. But I don't know. They should have been in the shit. But the van fight, the next fight, the van fight. So this was my favorite sequence of the movie because it's so Wolverine. Okay, so Wolverine he finds out that Wade made an educated wish on if they could fix his universe or not because he failed his. And he goes off on Wade. He calls him a fucking loser, a dumbass. He just goes in. And Deadpool has this like, he's silent for the first time. He's literally silent. And just the mannerisms and the physical performance in that, you could tell that he was so hurt by Wolverine what he said. You could see it in his demeanor. You could see it in everything. And him, Deadpool being silent is worth 1,000 words, you know? It just speaks so much, and then he just simply says, I'm gonna fight you now. And they get busy, bro. But the emotional weight is there. Wolverine is hurt because his world might not be saved. Deadpool has just got eviscerated verbally and is about to be eviscerated physically. And just, it sets up that so well. And that's the emotion I wanted throughout the whole movie. And I'll get to like more in a bit on where it doesn't really land in some other aspects. But that was great. But then the fight itself, it's so creative. They keep it in the van, and just how they utilize the environment around them, how Deadpool's pulling his seat back to not get hit by Wolverine's claws. They're using the seatbelts to fucking try to strangle Logan, and it's just so good. And then at one point, Wolverine rushes the van and fucking like rams it and makes the airbags deploy, and that, like, you know, pushes Deadpool back or whatever, and he like just lunges in. That lunge, bro, that's some classic Wolverine shit, like, right there, and I love it so much. I love how they portray him. And with the action, I will say it gets a bit rubbery in parts, but I feel like overall it's fine. The other Deadpool movies were like that too. It does get a bit rubbery, but I don't think it should not be the case at all. But it just doesn't bother me a whole lot. And I could see why it would bother some other people more. Again, no excuse. No fucking $200 million movie should look like this at all. And I love how this fight ends. It pans down, like they're getting busy, and it pans down to them actually. They end up like fighting day and night, like for a full day. And then it ends with Wolverine mummy wrapping. We don't get to see this, but it ends with Wolverine mummy wrapping Deadpool in the seatbelts. Like, that was just a really, really fun sequence that just had the emotional stuff that I look for more in my older age, you know? Like, I'm not purely run by action sequences anymore. Like, I'm not a kid, you know? I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with that, but you know, you want a little bit more in your stories growing up and whatnot. And again, not trying to yuck anyone's yum, like what you like, but that just had everything going for it, what I wanted in this movie. Great action, great emotional stakes. Can't really ask for much else, honestly, in that regard with this movie. So the cameo fight scene. So again, this is like when the movie just looks butt ugly, and I can tell why these cameos didn't leak. Because it was very, very apparent that this was like a closed set, and just like some of compositing, some of the CGI just environments just did not look great at all. But I will say it is cool as shit that we see Blade fight Azazel, fight Lady Deathstrike, see Gambit throw his cards and explode people, and that was like, I really, really love the gore in that regard. Because if Gambit shows up, we're not seeing him explode people with his cards. We're just not seeing that, you know? And it was really good to see that in that aspect, and then see fucking Wesley Snipes' Blade use a stake gun to nail someone to a wall. Like, that was cool as shit. But I didn't like how lackluster Azazel and Lady Deathstrike fell. Like, kind of, Blade kills Lady Deathstrike in one fell swoop, and then like he kind of does the same with Azazel, and it's just like, we could have did a little bit more with that. But fucking seeing X-23 cut off Juggernaut's feet, like, come on, bro, that's lit as hell. And it's just, it looks ugly, but hey, sometimes, bro, you gotta operate off the rule of cool, and this definitely delivered that in that department. So, you know, there's some good, there's some bad. You just take it. I don't know. It's just me. That's just my mindset in general with all this stuff, bro. Like, there's gonna be good shit. There's gonna be mid shit. There's gonna be bad shit, and it's just the name of the game, in my opinion. With all this stuff, all this superhero stuff. I just don't know how else to put it, bro. It's just, you know, different stroke for different folks. Like, it's not, maybe it's gonna bother maybe it's gonna bother the next guy more, but sometimes, bro, you just gotta rock with it. Blade drops some motherfuckers still trying to ice skate uphill line. That was super fun. But again, just member berries. But I don't know, it hit in this regard, so I'm not complaining too much. It might say, I mean, I rated it 6.5, so it's like I expected more, but keep in mind, I was thoroughly entertained throughout this movie. I don't think there was any spot where I was just like, oh, can we just like get through it now? Maybe on a second rewatch, maybe, but I enjoyed it all the way through. And so like the last fight sequence with the Deadpool core, I feel like this was the weakest fight sequence and just the weakest act in general. It just did not hit. Like, I like seeing the various Deadpools. Like, we get Lady Pool, that was cool, Kid Pool, Samurai Pool, Cowboy Pool, Baby Pool. There was like a Mage Pool. He didn't really get much play or really play any at all. I just saw him in the background. French Pool. And then this is when Logan flips the cowl. The cowl, ooh, goddamn. The cowl was kind of, it was kind of hit or miss for me. At some points it looked great, and how the fuck what's the function on this thing? I felt like they kind of just didn't know what to do with it, because at one point he just kind of, it's usually like a hood thing, right? Like he just flips it off and like it's a hood in the back, but he kind of, it's nowhere like that, and he flips it up and it's like, I kind of get, it was like a flipped up like fabric, but it's hard because it has like the ears and stuff, so it's like kind of confusing. And at one point he like has it on, and that's what I'm saying, it comes out of nowhere. And this is nitpick, it comes out of nowhere. He flips it up and it comes out of nowhere. It doesn't really feel physical, but then at one point he has it on and he's talking to a Paradox or whatever, and one scene he has it on, one scene it's gone, and then it's just in his hand. So it's like, it kind of felt like they didn't know what to do with it in that sense. But yeah, that was just super nitpick. But the fight with, what's his face, the Deadpool core, it just, you know, I really like when he uses Nice Pool as a human shield, and then he doesn't have a regenerative ability. That was really funny. I like how Deadpool says he's when Wolverine does flip the cowl, he says he's what does he say? He's like, oh, he like makes fun of him, or he says some slick shit, but he's just like, I'm sorry, I'm just a catty bitch when I get jealous. Like, yeah, it looks pretty cool, Deadpool, I agree, but your mask is actually kind of better, not gonna lie. But that's neither here nor there. I really like I said, this is the weakest fight scene, but I like the side scrolly bit with it. I feel like that was really fun. And then how it turns into at one point, like, they get overwhelmed by the forces and just it's like 2v100, and they get overwhelmed by the Deadpools, but then, you know, it sees them rushing them, and then they're pushing them back slowly, and you just see body parts and shit flying and whatnot, and Deadpool's over here pushing Wolverine to, it was the weakest one, but it was still fun. And then I really like how after they got done decimating them in like the bus scene and whatnot, when they get out of the bus and they pop out in that one part, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. That felt super, super video gamey. Yeah, it was a cool sequence, but it's like, again, no reason why a $200 million movie should look like this. But I really like the point where they just like get back up, because they're fucking Deadpools, and so, you know, the fight's not over, but then Peter comes and saves them, and they're like, oh shit, it's fucking Peter. And I like that aspect. I really like Peter in this. That's really all like the action sequences. I love them a lot. Honestly, I can't wait to rewatch them in HD on YouTube or some shit. But just the relationship with Cassandra and Paradox, this, you know, the TVA and stuff wasn't super compelling to me, but I did like how Paradox was kind of like a rogue TVA member. Yeah, I feel like that was really fun, and just within the universe and the TVA where it is now and how it was in the end of Loki. Because I was like, why are they doing this, like in the trailers and shit? But, you know, I don't know if that was shown. I really only watched like one trailer, one or two. But yeah, I think it worked well within the universe. Oh, Cassandra Nova's, I said I like her power set. Her phasing thing, when she gets into your brain, it looked a little shit sometimes, but I like the overall effect of it. Just how, and then how at one point she's like dragging Paradox by his face. Like, I felt like that was super fun. Just back into the emotional beats, we just needed more time with Wade in, you know, his more mundane life, and not so much the multiversal stuff. And just the Vanessa element was really missing. And I really like how she was the overall reason he did everything, and how, you know, Logan's and Wade's suit arcs are paralleled. Like, they're both pretty much out of commission, and they kind of just bring each other back in a way. I really like that a lot. You know, I really liked the Vanessa and Deadpool interaction at the beginning, and I really liked it at the end. It just
needed a little bit more of that. And like with Wolverine stuff, there was like a lot of telling and not showing. It would have really hit so hard if we got a glimpse into what was happening in his timeline, and to see that, bro, it's just, I really feel like they dropped the ball in that aspect on it. But overall, it wasn't there for me with the Logan aspect. We just needed a little bit more fleshing out, and it would have been there, bro. It would have been there. And honestly, if the emotional stuff would have hit, bro, this movie would have been easily a 8.59 to me, not gonna lie. We just needed like a brief, it didn't even need to like a whole sequence of that, just a brief glimpse, maybe quick flashbacks like in I think X2, when it shows the flashback in Wolverine's, it's after his Weapon X program and he's looking at his bloody hands and his new claws. Like, that was an impactful sequence. We needed something like that in this movie. I just don't think it was there. I don't even think it wasn't there at all. I like the moment between X-23 and Logan, even though it was super cookie cutter and set up. Like, she just comes in and she gives the speech to him. But I really like how she's like says, you know, you're not the right guy, you never were, but like, you're the right guy when it matters, in a way. And he always steps up. I really like that a lot. I just felt like, in my opinion, they should have just, instead of him killing all like the bad guys and eventually killing like some of the good guys in his berserker rage, which would have we even seen Wolverine in berserker rage? Like, just like feral, like he is uncontrollable, like even to good guys and bad guys. We haven't really seen that, so that would have been super cool to see. But it would have been so much more impactful, because this Wolverine pretty much goes through the same stuff that we've seen Wolverine go through. Cassandra does a quick like flashback and it shows the events of the other movies, and it would have been so impactful instead of him like killing everyone, or at least when he got to Laura and she says, "You saved me" and stuff. It would have been super hard hitting if he was like, yeah, but when it came to the decision of when he got to that stage in his life to save, save her, he failed. Either he turned his back on her, or he just couldn't do it. That would have been so impactful, because then it would have been way more emotional stakes, personal stakes between those two, and it wasn't just like Logan Part 2 again, like and then Professor X killing, you know, all the X-Men, but then in this case it's Wolverine, like an old man Logan. And like, I think that's one of the biggest problems. It's like, for me, I can picture Logan doing that. I read Old Man Logan. I know how he gets busy. I know that. And I can just easily fill in the blanks in my mind, but it just wasn't, there should have been stuff for I don't have to do that. Not everyone is a comic book fan in you know, the nerdy way, and like, it just needed that. It needed that to hammer it home, some visuals put to that. It would have been such a more intimate moment between him and Laura, and it would have made her sacrifice, you know, feel a lot more impactful, because it's like, damn, in a way she's sacrificing herself for him in the same way. I don't know, bro. It would have been cool if he would have been like, damn, he didn't save her, you know? Instead of his main problem being he just like murdered the X-Men in a way. The future of all this though, like I said, it's probably not gonna be too great if it's just, Hugh Jackman coming back like constantly and whatnot. But X-23, Wade, Logan are all in the same universe now. So like I said, this movie would have been so much great if it was not connected to the multiversal stuff and it was just a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. But now that they're all in the same universe, maybe we can get something like that. Maybe it's a little bit too late for that, but I don't know. I feel like there's something to play with there. But then also, so they're in the same universe now, right? But you know who's also possibly in the same universe? Monica Rambeau. We saw her at the end of the Marvels. She got stuck and she was with Beast and stuff. I don't know if this is the same universe, but possibly. And so I saw a really actually a good tweet on Twitter that could possibly maybe say where this is heading. So hold on. This is from user Keshav. So he says, I'm convinced that the only plausible reason for Deadpool and Wolverine both to be in the Fox universe at the end before the events of Logan, so the mutants are still alive, is because they're gonna have an incursion with the MCU, and then the Beast in the Marvels may even be in the same one. So an incursion, so basically the two worlds clashing together, and it might be setting up Avengers versus X-Men, which is really fun. So yeah, that could be some crazy shit that I'm very, very open to see. Oh, and I didn't really mention, I like the ending for this movie where Wolverine and Deadpool end up becoming roommates. I feel like that was really fun, and it really sets it up in a very interesting spot. And I'm very interested to see if this is gonna pay off, or we're just gonna, get a glimpse and then it's on to some more multiversal shenanigans. Just some quick funnies before we close out. Wade being obsessed with Thor holding him. At one point, Paradox shows him like a glimpse into the future, and Thor's holding Wade, and like he made some. I think it was from Thor 2 in the Dark World, maybe, or it might be Thor 1. He's like, I think he just got replaced from him holding Loki, and he's just like obsessed with the whole, obsessed in the whole movie. Like, oh, when are we gonna get to that? That was really funny. Oh, your tailor is a predator. During Deadpool's suit up scene, he gets his suit, and it does a sequence where the tailor's like slapping his ass and grabbing his nuts like a whole bunch. And at first I was just like, okay, it's just some Deadpool shit. But then like, he says like, oh no, like your guy's actually a predator, and that was kind of like, he doesn't say this, but it was invasive and shit. But oh wait, no, I think he says he likes it, but he's like, yeah, but he's for sure a predator. Logan's reaction to Johnny dying, bro, that was some funny shit, because he's like, you just got him killed, bro, and he just his whole shit with it. That was just super fun. Deadpool before the van fight, he does the Spider-Man thwips. That was really fun. Peter saves everyone, but that's how the Deadpool stop attacking them. And then B-15 is feeling him tough. She's like, you look damn good in that Deadpool suit, and she's like, just has this lustful stare at him, and that was really funny. There's a shawarma mention like in the first Avengers movie. I feel like that was funny. And then Deadpool's reaction to Dogpool being alive. He has this like type of, it's just so hilarious. But yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it. I think I honestly got through everything I wanted to say. I don't know. I just like yapping with reviews and whatnot. But what do you guys think of Deadpool and Wolverine? Did it live up to your expectations? I said Deadpool, Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine. Did it live up to your expectations? Was it disappointing? Did it was it what you expected? And then also, if you do, what are some good Deadpool comics? I'm very interested in that. Yeah, but don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the other videos on the channels. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Twos.